Hello and welcome to the Polka Dots program. Release the clutter and keep the memories. A guide to gracefully part with outgrown baby clothes and free your space and your mind. I'm Luma El-Khoury, your host and the keepsake artist at polkadots.com. Today is the first day of the program, the day we look at the past for a moment in order to simplify the present. If you haven't listened to the intro video yet, check it out first to know what to expect from this program and what you need to know before we dive in. As I've mentioned in the introduction yesterday, I want you to have all your kids' outgrown clothes gathered in one spot by now. All the boxes, bins, bags, suitcases, everything. Pause this video for as long as you need to get them all. I want everything to be gathered already as you listen to the program. Before you start thinking about going through your child's old clothes, you need to make sure you have the right mindset. The goal of this program is to help you let go of the extra items you don't need to free your space physically, but also, and more importantly, mentally. Babies grow fast. A baby will outgrow his or her clothes in an average of 2 months, ending up with piles of clothes that are too small every couple of months, and while you have an infant at home, can quickly become overwhelming, and it's common to postpone putting away clothes properly when you have other priorities. We all do that. I haven't heard of one parent who took care of organizing their outgrown baby clothes the first year of baby's life. They just pile up somewhere, and it's okay. But at some point, it's healthy to address these clothes to avoid more overwhelm as the piles grow. Now, if you know you will be saving all the clothes because you want to have another baby, that's a different story, and I will have a day of tips to organize the clothes for the next baby. This program here is to help you part with the baby clothes you still have when you're not planning to have more children. Why do you think it's so hard to let go of old baby clothes that you know you will not be using for your own kids anymore? As you look at these clothes, all of the memories of the sweetest baby days come rushing back like a big wave. You know what's the first thing that you should consider? How lucky you are. First, having had all these clothes for your baby is a privilege not everyone gets to enjoy. And second, these beautiful memories popping up is an unmistakable sign that you've had beautiful days to remember with your baby. And this is also something to be grateful for. You must also know that these memories are in your mind and in your heart, not in all these items. We say that clothes hold memories, and they figuratively do. They do. But guess what? If the clothes disappear, the memories will not. The memories will stay. I just mentioned that this program will help you if you're not planning on having more babies. That's the first obstacle that comes to mind when parting with the old baby clothes. Deep inside, even if we know for sure that we will not be having any more kids, a lot of us still kind of mourn the loss of this potentiality to have another baby, and mainly all the feelings and selflessness and empowerment it gives us, especially the moms. This is a classic case of being attached to a fantasy, even if you know 100% that there is no way you will have another child. There's something in a mother's body that keeps yearning to these wonderful feelings from time to time. The only thing that will melt this obstacle here is gratitude. Looking back and being so grateful that you've had a child or more, and for some of you being grateful that you've had the privilege of deciding that you wouldn't like more children. We take all these things for granted. And when we look at it from a different point of view and truly see our blessings and practice gratitude, the meaning of the baby clothes starts to fade. And there are many ways to keep the memories without the stuff that I will discuss on day 3. Are you thinking about all the money you spent on these clothes? Or maybe their monetary value, whether you spent the money or someone else did? Brand names and high quality stuff that you feel like you're losing value if you give away? Well, I think you should consider this. When it comes to baby clothes, at least, the value is not in the item itself or the store it came from. The value is in possessing it and in its purpose. Sometimes we hold on to expensive items our children never wore just because of their potential value. We feel guilty for not taking advantage of the value somehow. Unconvince yourself that an item is valuable because it's pricey and new. Admit that it was an ineffective expense and move on. You can always gift it or sell it if you need to. And remember that often the cheapest pieces end up being more cherished than the items labeled as expensive. Sometimes we feel guilty to give away some special clothes that were intentionally chosen for us as gifts. It's a little more sensitive when it's a gift because a relationship seems to be at stake here. Someone gives you something for your child to convey that they have thought of you and that they love you. That's the purpose of the gift, and the sentiment has been conveyed when the gift was given. You received the thought and the love, and now it's up to you to do whatever you want with the gift. Use it or toss it, or keep it and feel stuck and guilty to give it away. All up to you. Let me tell you that feeling guilty over baby clothes sounds a little unreasonable. Don't we have enough of these feelings to sort out? Honestly, I don't need things to give me anxiety. And the special people who give you these items, if they truly love you, they will understand your need to make space and move on. And by the way, you don't need to let them know if you think they will have a problem with it. Sometimes it's easier to compromise a little. If you think there will be a big issue over a gifted baby item and for some reason you can't hide the fact that you're giving it away, consider keeping it for a little longer and then donating it when the next opportunity arises. If it has the potential of ruining a relationship that's important to you, this may work out for you. You can't control someone else's mindset, and meeting them halfway may be worth it. If it's a family heirloom piece, like a special dress your mom gave you that your great-grandma wore but that you don't like, think about returning it to the gifter or give it to another family member who would appreciate it more. Please don't keep anything out of guilt. The people who love you, I'm going to say it, dead or alive, will not mind, and remember, they don't have to know. Donating an item that was given to you as a gift has nothing to do with your relationship with the person who gave it to you, and it doesn't mean you don't love them. It's only your own opinion of the physical thing itself. That's all. People often gift things that they like, and they expect you to like them too. So please shake the guilt and move on. Other guilt-inducing items we keep are the ones labeled vintage. If you don't like the item, but you feel guilty to let go of it because you're supposed to value vintage, the guilt feeling itself should serve as a red flag. Don't keep anything out of guilt or only because you think you should. If you have to, keep it out of love and because you love the item and love having it. Do what you think makes sense for you. You are the one who will end up dealing with the items you keep. Sometimes we keep things because our own parents kept everything, and that's what we know. If you grew up in a house where everything was kept, then you have a higher chance of sticking with that habit. Most of the times, this comes from a scarcity mindset or a lack mindset. What if? What if we needed this? What if a time comes where someone will want it? It's a belief that what you have is always limited, and if you get rid of stuff, your stock may not replenish. You feel worried of running out of things, and your kids' old clothes become part of it all. Because they remind you of happy times, maybe you worry that you won't get to feel these positive emotions anymore. Sometimes it's the opposite. We keep things because our parents didn't keep anything. Families that have moved a lot come to mind. When you keep losing some comforting items at home when you're growing up because you're moving from place to place frequently, you may tend to keep more stuff when you're old enough to make your own decisions. That's also a kind of a scarcity mindset, where you're afraid to lose your things and risk losing some feelings along with them, such as a comfort or security feeling as a child that was provided by items in a familiar home. Maybe with baby clothes, you're afraid to lose that familiar feeling of babiness and love that was so sweet and rewarding. The way to get out of the scarcity mindset is first by reminding yourself that you're safe and you don't need to worry about not having enough, and practicing the opposite, a feeling of abundance. This means practicing to share and give without expecting anything in return, just for the kindness and the desire to improve someone else's life, whether you know them or not. Know that if you give something of value to you, it looks like you're losing something, but you will actually gain a sense of joy instead. Have faith that you have enough and you're able to get what you need when you need it. Look at what you have instead of what you're giving away. You have the memories and the wonderful times. Practice gratitude, positivity, and acts of generosity and kindness, again, without ever expecting anything in return. Most likely good karma or the universe or God will take care of you if you're genuinely good. That's how you get out of the poisonous scarcity mindset, and that alone, baby clothes or no baby clothes, will change your life for the better. If you think you need more help addressing your scarcity mindset, there are a lot of sources online, and I will recommend some for you at the end of this video. To conclude on the scarcity mindset, whatever your parents did or however you grew up, please don't blame anything or anyone for any mindset or way of thinking you may have. Know that acknowledging this mindset that's holding you back and deciding to change it is half the work. The rest is to actually be willing to change and put in the work by practicing the new ways of thinking that you wish to adopt. Are you saving all of your child's baby clothes for your eventual grandchildren? That's very nice, but it may not be an amazing idea. Think about this. You're saving clothes in boxes for decades to give to your children when they have their own children. What if they don't want all of these clothes? We work hard to teach our children our values and ways of thinking, but when they grow up, it's highly likely that they will have their own beliefs, and their new beliefs may differ from yours. Take, for example, your own mother. Are you exactly like her in everything? Probably not. What I'm trying to say is that you're investing space and time for something that's very uncertain. If your children didn't want all the clothes, they will either let you know and disappoint you after all these years, or they will take them even if they don't want them, because they feel guilty and they don't want to hurt your feelings. And now you've passed on the baby clothes and the major guilt feeling that we just talked about earlier and that your children will have to deal with. Do you really want to do that to your kids? Sure, keep certain pieces, but not everything. You're setting expectations for 30 years from now and likely setting yourself up for disappointment. And did you consider that your children may not want to have babies? What if they decided to be career or travel people and not think about having kids? This is definitely a possibility, and it will leave you with bins of old clothes and a feeling of waste and disappointment. Keep a few special items for your grandchildren. Too much of something special makes it not so special anymore. If you hear yourself say lucky charm about any of the clothes, you can take a couple of these items to keep in a box. It's okay to have a small memory box, such as a shoe-sized box. It's totally fine to keep some items that make you happy, just not all of them. You should know, though, that the clothes you consider lucky charms are hardly lucky. Your baby would have walked or would have been saved from whatever disaster that was about to happen, regardless of what he or she was wearing at the time. Just a side note that might give you some perspective. Here's another thing that requires another perspective. Clothes will not mind if they're given away. If anything, these clothes would rather be useful and serve other babies than sit in boxes for years. Clothes do not have feelings, and if they did, they would be so much happier on other babies serving an actual purpose. Do you keep everything because why not? You have a big house and lots of space and you don't mind storing stuff? I personally don't think a big house is a good excuse to store more things you don't need. And this is not only about freeing physical space. No matter how much space you have, I can guarantee you that if you let go of what you don't need and stick with this mindset, it's your mind that will feel more clear and will thank you. And in my opinion, I think the people who say they love living with all the extra things that they have not tried living with less. It doesn't matter if the things are perfectly and beautifully organized in amazing boxes and storage systems. If you don't need it for your life right now, you're better off without it. If you really don't want to keep your extra stuff, but you're under pressure of your spouse or a family member, then that's even more stressful. You're keeping things that you don't want and that someone else thinks are valuable to keep, and that's not very healthy. Consider showing them this program and having a serious conversation about how these items are causing you anxiety. To conclude on today's chapter, I want to remind you that you can change your mindset. If you relate to one or more of the reasons to keep your kids' old clothes that I just mentioned, it's a great start. These are all obstacles that you can easily get over if you're willing to put in the work. Thank you for listening, and prepare to get a peek of your better life tomorrow.